exploited, adapted for use by by authority in order to
Hmm.
fucking run this crazy psyop that's been going on all of our lives.
Hello and welcome again to Outrage Factory. This is episode number 280. Oh, fuck. Somehow my Google Notes pulled up my shopping list instead of my podcast notes. I do want to dedicate this episode to my unky Jeff, who passed away at the age of 62 yesterday. So, yeah, I hope Jesus
My
welcomed you with
condolences.
open arms.
Sorry to hear that.
Adrian, aren't you almost 62? Not just kidding.
Yes, we're like 3 years away from that. Fuck.
I was talking to my mom about it, and she said that the
That
average
seems
life expectancy on her side for the paternity line is 62.
wow, is that right?
Yeah,
That's average. Wow.
my dad passed away either, I think 57. So yeah,
Whoa, dude. I didn't know that.
yeah.
That's horrible. I'm sorry. Anyway, my condolences about your uncle.
Thank you, thank
Yeah,
you.
Jeff, did you say?
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
you
King of the
know,
dad jokes. So now I have to tell dad jokes in his honor.
hmm, I expect you to.
But don't let that bring you down. Just bring the dick jokes, because the world
No.
needs humor right now.
What would Jeff want?
He would want dad jokes.
Yeah.
He wouldn't want dick jokes, so I'm going to disappoint his ghost, but he did like to laugh, so hopefully he can see through the potty humor side of it.
Yeah, okay. I don't intend to say anything dirty, but
What? That's
I can't. Well, I don't intend to.
there you go.
Uh, but I was disappointed. I know you'd sent a list of topics that you wanted to discuss, and this time I actually looked at it.
Oh, I was gonna say you actually looked at it.
Yeah,
Nice.
I did, and most of them I was like baffled by them. I didn't know any of that stuff was happening in the world, but I was disappointed that you didn't include the whole thing about the Atlas thing, one Atlas 1X
Oh, didn't I put it
orbiting
on there?
Colossus project,
Oh, fuck.
uh,
See, okay, I
which is, by
do.
the way, shares a
Yeah.
name with Elon Musk and Grimes's kid.
Do you want to know the annoying, super nerd little factoid I know about how it got named?
Yeah, I
Okay,
do.
so 3I Atlas stands for the third interstellar object that was discovered by the Atlas telescope.
Oh, is that right?
So,
Wow.
1I Umau Mau was the first interstellar object. That was a cigar that was
It's
discovered by
spelled
the
Umau Mau, like Papa Umau Mau.
yeah, Baba Uma. That's the only reason I could remember that name. Is that's the one that was found by the Hawaiian, hence the
Yeah,
Umau Mau.
yeah,
And that one was a cigar shape that they're like, it has jets and all this stuff. And remember, they were like freaking out about that. That was like 10 years ago. And then it just like fucking kept going and everybody like never talked about it again. Then the second one,
I was talking about it just earlier today.
which I never even heard of, 2I Breznov, which I'm guessing was discovered by Russians. And that's why we never talked about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I wanted to. So this is the fucking most annoying thing about 3i Atlas. I was like, okay, I got to do some 3i, and every day I see something fucking different about this stupid asteroid that's not an asteroid, that's a comet that's not a comet, that doesn't have a tail, has a tail.
Yeah.
Like I don't know what's real. And like
Yeah. Oh,
Sam
really?
Sam Tripoli said it the best. He's like, until I'm getting anally penetrated, it's Project Bluebeam to me. I don't trust it until the aliens come out of it. Are
Here
you
we go.
familiar with Project Bluebeam?
Oh, very.
Okay, I'll give like the simplest like summation of it. Like I'm not asking you if you knew, I knew you knew, but it's like Project Bluebeam is a conspiracy by the governments. I don't know if it's just the American government or the world governments to hoax an alien invasion just so they can get more money for the military industrial complex. Is that what it is?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. And it
Yeah.
involves, mass hallucinations that they can somehow induce through some sort of tech that we aren't supposed
Hmm.
to know about. It's of course it's not real, except that something like that is real. And so this is this is another way of misdirecting and toxifying and bad jacketing
Mhm.
actual, a program that probably exists on some level. I mean, the most UFO activity, it's boring these days because we kind of know it's there to obscure military technology, like high tech stuff. And also concurrently, there is a real phenomenon that has been propagandized.
Mhm.
So you can't, there's no truth out there. And all you can do is I think, be discriminating in your sources. So this thing, this one AI, this kid, this Elon Musk's kid that's traveling towards us with its tail apparently facing the sun, not going away from it. I don't know.
Oh,
I
it
don't
it
really
just
care.
changed. It was behind it and now it's in front of it.
Yeah.
And this is what I'm talking about. And it's funny because they're like the fucking star dorks. They keep being like, "Oh, this thing's the size of like 600 kilometers," and they're like,
No,
"Look
the
at this
star dorks are
fucking thing."
ridiculous.
And then it's just like a blob on the screen, and you're like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" And then they're like, "Oh, it's like got these chemicals, gases that are coming out of the back of it that are only found in foundries and stuff." And you're like, "How the fuck do you know what gases are coming out of it?" And then
Yeah.
it's like, "Oh, look at this other blob," and then you're like, then they're like a coronal ejection from the sun fucking lit it up and hit it, and then you're like, "Wait, what?" So like basically an EMP strike from like a solar flare from the sun shot directly at it and fucking I don't know, powered it up, and then it like sped up towards the sun, and then it like slowed down to take advantage of the gravity of the sun so it could turn around it, and then it sped up again so it would intersect Earth, and we're just like waiting. And it's like you see all these computer models and hand drawn pictures of this, and you're like, this is fucking compelling. This is great. And you're like, where's the research? And then you go, and it's just like a fucking blob on a screen, and you're like, fuck.
Yeah. So agreed. And
Yeah.
anything but anything that reaches the news level on that, at the sort of that magnitude,
Hmm.
needs to be treated with, with the highest suspicion. And this is one of those things. And so there's something out there. There's lots of things out there. Uh, it's, we're being psyoped over it for sure. I mean,
Hmm.
one of the few, there's a small handful, maybe it's not quite a handful, it's a basket full of like historically really good UFO researchers who inevitably ended up turning their attention to those two things I just mentioned, like military technology, like top secret military technology. And the other thing they would always look into is like the occult, because these things are intimately connected. And
Hmm.
this sort of dominant narrative in the West, which has prevailed since the late 40s, early 50s, that it's creatures from outer space, was cooked up in a fucking think tank. It's not real. It's
Hmm.
it's meant to absorb your attention and fascinate you, and it's happening again. That's all. It's happening again. But the one thing I wouldn't give a shit about this story except for this. I'll tell you why this suddenly became interesting to me just today.
Oh,
Is because
today?
just today. Because normally I don't care anymore. I
Hmm.
fucking went through this stuff in the 90s and 2000s, and one should look into the UFO thing. As long as you don't get, I think, consumed or seduced by the bullshit, it's fascinating because it's a great lesson in, why power does weird things and how they do weird things, and like the games
Yeah.
they play on the public, and how they've siloed this enormous community of people who are like watching the skies and looking for the truth out there, and they'll never get it. But boy, oh boy, does it keep them occupied until, you know their digital face ID, face recognition is necessary to enter their own home or something. But yeah, no, this is why it's interesting to me because today this fucking idiot Brian Cox, Professor Brian Cox. Do you know who this
Sounds
fellow
familiar.
is? Yeah, he's like the British version of um, Neil deGrasse Tyson,
Ugh.
Whatever his fucking idiot name is.
Yeah.
But it's like typically because it's British, he's a little bit more persuasive. Now, like Neil deGrasse Tyson is easy to eliminate because he's just clearly an obnoxious fool.
Yeah,
And he's also, I would say, highly compromised. Otherwise, he wouldn't be out there embarrassing himself constantly.
that's true.
But anyway, he's defending the sort of scientific materialist view of the universe, which is a bullshit view of the universe, I think. And then Brian Cox does it in Britain, but he's like young and hip, and he's got a northern accent, and people think he's cute. And
I'm
this is
gonna
what
look up
he,
a picture of him. Keep talking.
yeah,
Sorry.
this is what he texted today. Texted. This is what he tweeted today. Just to be clear, given recent drivel online. So immediately, he's defending the establishment position on something. So why? Why does he fucking care? Why would he need to do this? Except, like, he only has this position in life, like BBC's top fucking space dude,
Hmm.
top astrophysicist, because he plays along. Right. He's
Yeah.
going he's going to present the sort of the official ideology of the West, and which means like it's a very rational, scientific, materialist view, right? Doesn't matter what this comet thing is. It doesn't matter. He's just here to do this to give you this message. So just to be clear, it's a comet made of carbon dioxide and water ices and bits of other stuff. It is entirely natural in origin. Its orbit is as expected, and it will whiz around the sun and then disappear off into the galaxy again. If it ever encounters another inhabited solar system in the far future, I hope the living things there are more sensible than us and enjoy it for what it is, a visitor from elsewhere in the galaxy, a pristine lump of rock and ice which formed around a distant, maybe long dead star billions of years ago and many light years away, just passing through. Isn't that wonderful enough? And so he's making a lot of pretty bold statements there. He has no fucking idea where he has no more idea of where this thing came from than you
Yeah.
or I.
Hmm.
He's talking about theories that yes have some purchase now in the astrophysics world, but
Yeah.
they're not necessarily true. They might be, and almost probably will be disproven at some point in the future, or at least dethroned as sort of the dominant narrative. So he's out there telling you that you're an idiot for thinking this stuff,
Hmm.
and therefore corralling a whole bunch of other people into this sort of official point of view,
Yeah.
right?
Anytime somebody comes out on behalf of the government and is like, "This is nothing. Don't look at it," you're like, "Wait, wait, wait. What the fuck's going on?" But my problem with the whole three eye atlas was the first day I ever heard about it was from the fucking Bigfoot crazies at work. So they're like, "Have you heard about this fucking giant alien spaceship?" I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
immediately I disbelieve it because you keep showing me alien shit that's like not aliens. And then it's like the reason I brought up the Umau Mao before was because when that happened, everybody's like, it's got jets, it's got propulsions. And the reason it did was because it had packets of ice on it, and space is super cold, but if you get in the direct sunlight it's super hot because you don't have the atmosphere. So basically Umau Mao hit the sunlight and then the ice on it just melted, and then like gases things shot off and it looked like propulsion, but it was just a fucking giant rock that left and no aliens came out and we all just basically got edged. And
It's funny that the alien side of the argument is looking for things like propulsion. Like that's an
yeah,
earthbound technology, and
yeah,
like why would you think that the aliens like use jets? That's
yeah, exactly. When
it's
they're
that's
like you
silly.
said, they're demons. They could just teleport in and out of dimensions. It's funny that you were talking about demons before because it's like I started listening to this podcast, Mysterious Universe,
Oh
and
yeah,
they're like they've been around for 17 years, and they
yeah.
always say they're like if you look into the paranormal long enough, you just end up at demons. And it's like it's funny
Well,
because
if you
it's
look
like
into science long enough, you end up at God. We've had
yeah.
this discussion.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like all occultism, like you said, like they're interlaced with um, UFOs and stuff because of, well, I don't know if it's because of Aleister Crowley, but it's like he talks to this demon lamb and
Yeah,
then he draws a sketch of it and it's a
and
fucking
it's the
gray.
gray. It's the
Yeah.
gray. Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know how
You don't know which it's a
knowledge
chicken
of,
egg thing. Like,
yeah.
was he actually channeling, or was his madness somehow, you know, exploited, adapted for use by, by authority in order to
Hmm.
fucking run this crazy psyop that's been going on all of our lives. Like they're fucking committed to this thing. they're really committed to it.
Yeah.
Steven Spielberg's making a new UFO film,
Oh,
right?
really?
John Williams, I read just today or yesterday, at he's because he's like 900 years old, but he is nonetheless signed on to do the music for Steven Spielberg's new UFO film. So this isn't just like a Hollywood director getting the financing to make his project. This is an event.
Yeah.
It will
And
be
it's
sold
funny
as an
because
event.
it's like on one hand you're like this is all set up by the government, and on the other hand it's like it's kind of hopeful because when the government wants to pass something, they just go to the fucking like rumbling corpses like John Williams and Steven Spielberg. Like they're both so fucking old that you're like, how long can the government just go to those guys for the propaganda movies? Like eventually they're gonna have to find somebody else, but it's
Well,
like,
there's lots of guys in the wings.
yeah, well, I guess true. Like I'm
I
not
mean,
familiar
one of
with.
these days, you and I are going to have to like really have a serious discussion about Blink 182.
Oh yeah. Oh, dude, that's like one of them's like a military son, isn't he? Isn't the bassist Hopus?
I don't know, but I would not be remotely surprised about that. But of course,
Yeah,
the other douchebag, what's his name?
Travis.
Um, no, Travis. Travis was the one
Not the
that
drummer,
they
Travis.
tried to kill him in a plane crash.
Yeah, and they killed DJ Dan or whatever.
Yeah,
The fuck, the guy, Angels and Airwaves. He started the what? The fucking alien shit.
yeah, and he's working with the Pentagon
Fuck is his
and
name?
with this character, a whole bunch of people, but there's also this character by the name of Peter Lavenda, who's a very interesting guy and
Yeah.
almost certainly an asset of intelligence, who is one of the premier propagandists for this stuff, except that he's really good and he does actually come from the world of the occult. He's like from the he was part of the occult, not what's the word I'm looking for? Not revolution, but revival of the 60s. He was a big part of that. And he is known to be, although he will always deny it, the actual author of the Necronomicon, which was sold to teenagers in the 60s and 70s and 80s as like, the word of Satan or whatever. And people took very seriously. And it converted people and it had an impact. And this is this is like fucking MK Naomi, or not. What was there was one of those programs was all about the occult. MK something or other. But this is obviously intelligence work,
Hmm.
and he's part of it. And now he's teamed up with Blink 182 guy
Tom
to
DeLonge. I just had to Google it. It was
yeah,
bugging me.
DeLong, right, yeah. And they're just again like fucking your Atlas 9000, just running the same tired fucking script. I mean, Joe
Yeah.
Rogan too. And now they have introduced demons into it, right? Now they are talking about that started with Nick Redfern in his book Final Events and the Collins Elite. People started finding out that there's interest inside these secret halls within the Pentagon and elsewhere.
Hmm.
There's interest in the biblical aspects of it all, and
Yeah.
that's seeded the culture, and here we are.
See, I'm starting to think that we might need a new Collins Elite. If you're not familiar with the Collins Elite, I think we talked about them before, but it was basically this group of people in the government. I think they met at the Collins Hotel. That's how they got their name. But they would meet and their basic like what they were set out to do was to stop all UFO chatter from being released because they were convinced it was work of demons, and they were trying to they basically keep America Christian, and they didn't want the like influence of UFOs and the paranormal to get validified by the government, thus increasing the power to demons and stuff. And it's like they were this like kind of like it was weird because at first when I heard about them, I thought they were just like the secret society of bad guys who are like the Christian right, because before you learn like enough of the true evil in the world, you think Christians are the bad guys because they're the ones who are trying to like tell you what to do the most, and then you're like, well, obviously that's bad, they're the bad guys. And then you find out about a cult and all this stuff and you're like, wait, were they trying to protect me this whole time?
Yeah, yeah, and then you go through life and you realize, wait a minute, the West Memphis Three actually were guilty.
Yeah.
Things change, right? Your
Hmm.
perspective changes, and you start to perceive the outlines of I'm not sure what the right word for it is, but an attitude that is pushed on us by
Hmm.
influential and powerful people who are well compensated for their work, and they might not even know they're doing it. They might be as victimized as us in that sense. They
Hmm.
think like, does what's the idiot from Pearl Jam? What's his name? Eddie Vedder?
Yeah.
Has he actually? Because he was one of like the big champions of Damien Eccles and the
Yeah,
West
it was like
Nile.
him and Dave Navarro, wasn't it? The two big ones.
And Johnny Depp was the big one. And Johnny Depp, I can, as much as I enjoy Johnny Depp's work, a lot of it, I'm okay with the idea of thinking he's actually satanic.
Yeah, I
And,
think he is. I don't think it's
yeah,
that big of a secret either. Like it's like and it's like it's
but
almost like their occultism is accoutrement where they're like it's just a style choice. And then you're like,
yeah,
"Wait, do you believe it? Because I
that's the
thought you
thing.
were doing it as a joke, but if you
Because
believe it,
if you're you or I, if you're a regular person and you
yeah.
don't take it seriously, and you do see it as a pose or some
Hmm.
sort of affectation that they can afford to indulge in, but no, they might and probably do believe it, and that's when
Yeah.
it becomes very real and dangerous.
Like when Angelina Jolie
Whether their Satan is actually real or not
yeah.
is irrelevant. They believe it.
Yeah, like when Angelina Jolie was wearing that little vial of her fucking boyfriend, fuck, what's his name? I can't remember. A little vial of his blood, and you're like, wow, they're being fucking crazy. That guy who was in Sling Blade, why can't I
I
remember
know. I
names
can't. I'm
today?
fucking blanking on his name too. I
Fuck.
love him.
Yeah.
Like he's another guy whose work I love. I see him interview. I really enjoy him. I don't. I think he's playing on a good guy. What's
Yeah,
his
but
fucking?
like they were wearing a little vial of each other's blood around their neck on a
Yeah.
necklace, and you're like, oh, they're just being crazy Hollywood types, just trying to be like shock and awe. And then you're like, wait a minute, were they doing like blood rituals? Do they believe it? And like Adrian just said, it's like it doesn't matter if you believe it, it's they believe it, and that should be scary enough.
Yeah. Because it. Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
It's
because like if they believe that you
influencing
could,
their behavior and their loyalties.
yeah,
So how did we get onto this?
I
Uh,
can't remember. But I love it. I love talking about this stuff. Like, there's this guy Isaac Weishaupt, and he always talks about like occult symbolism in pop culture. And like like one of his big theories is that oh fuck, I can't remember names at all, so I should even talk about pop culture. But the like guy from the Foo Fighters,
Grohl.
yeah, Dave Grohl. Apparently, he's also military kid. His dad
Yeah.
was in the military. But
Or his
anyways,
dad.
like
Or was it his dad that wrote speeches for the Reagan
I
administration?
think
Was it
so.
Grohl?
Yeah. But so what?
They're
One of the
all
theories
connected.
is
These.
One of the theories is that he had Kurt Cobain killed as a blood sacrifice so that he could get super famous because it was
Wow.
like if you think everything's a plant and everything's a psyop, then Nirvana is one of the biggest psyops because it basically stopped everybody from like drinking and doing cocaine with hair metal and getting into heroin and like fucking downers and being depressed. And then so like I don't know if you want to control society, you definitely don't want hair metal fans. You want fucking grunge fans who are too depressed to do anything. So like one of the theories is they were like a set up boy band type deal, but then like Kurt was like fucking annoying and being like, I don't want to be famous. It's like, well then stop putting every effort of every day into trying to be famous and you won't be famous anymore. So they like whatever got rid of him, and then Dave Grohl's like, I want to be famous. I love being famous. He's like, I don't want to sit behind this drum kit. I want to be the
Oh,
singer. I want to grow a goatee.
Dave Grohl survived the death of Kurt Cobain with remarkable gusto.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
then the weirder part was when his fucking
Drummer
drummer
guy.
died,
Uh,
and then they and like Foo Fighters had just made a movie about like doing blood sacrifices to become super famous as a band, and then in the movie like Dave Grohl ends up like getting the other two members of all the other members of Foo Fighters killed, and then he gets like super famous and launches another career. So it's like it's almost like that thing where it's like revolution or revelation of the method where you like basically have to like
yeah,
tell people what you're
we've
doing
touched
so
on this
you
before.
yeah where you don't yeah.
In order for evil to succeed,
Hmm.
it has to be open.
Yeah.
You have to do it out in the open.
And you
So
have
if
to
you
tell
have,
people what you're doing. Yeah.
yeah, like it needs the consent of
Yeah.
everyone else, and so you, of course,
Hmm.
you do it through subterfuge.
Hmm.
So it's
And
oh, it's
then,
funny. It's just that, oh, look at Dave Grohl. He's up, he's still a teenager at heart, and he's having a fun time lampooning his 1980s teenage obsession with Satanism in this silly movie where people die, right?
yeah.
That's how you're supposed to read it.
Yeah. And like in the
And
book or
Taylor Hawkins,
whatever.
by the way, I think, you have to, you have to actually seriously consider that actually he was killed by the vax. But anyway,
Oh, is that what it was? I can't remember what he died of.
it was either it was a stroke or a heart attack. It was the thing that lots of vax injured people were dying of
Mm.
at the time. And there was some, the Foo Fighters were uh more militant than most in demanding that everybody get this thing.
Oh yeah, because they're fucking
The Foo
like
Fighters. They were called the Foo
military kid.
Fighters.
Yeah.
But they were, on my side of the fucking fence, they were the Foo Fighters. Whatever, like small amount of respect I had for Dave Grohl, and it was
You
I
had
had
any?
some. It was just, well, he's a fucking amazing drummer. I liked Nirvana, and
Uh,
I've seen, I had to see Foo Fighters a couple of times just to review them. And the
hmm.
guy's good at what he does, and he's attractive and charismatic, but he's a fucking piece of shit.
Yeah.
And um, yeah, he's working for the other side.
I mean, Foo Fighters, I never really gave them a chance because my little brother liked them and he had their first album and I was like, well, I'll give these guys a chance. I like to give everything a chance. Basically, do a little homework so I can like fully gestate why I hate something and then I listen to this album and one of his like I find out that it's all songs that he wrote when he was 15 and one of the lyrics is fingernails are pretty and I'm like, I can't. Like this like cuz this was when I was like 17 and I was like full emo phase. Like I was like the world means something. We have to find deeper meaning with everything. And I was like,
Yeah.
why would I listen to the Foo Fighters when Nine Inch Nails exists and stuff like that? So I
Yeah.
know so
Yeah, yeah. You graduated to the next level of the operation.
yeah, and it was like Nirvana to me was like it was basically like the Beatles in the 60s and 70s. It's like gateway music. Like you start listening to Nirvana to get off of hair metal, but you don't stop at Nirvana and you don't keep listening to Nirvana. You like jump onto the Pixies or the Breeders or another band that isn't
Well,
the
I tell you,
Pixies or
if
Breeders.
you're making the case or trying to make the case or just proposing that most popular culture in the latter half of the 20th century was some sort of long psychological operation, and I certainly I was like I wouldn't kick that theory out of bed
Hmm.
entirely. But I grew up in the punk era, and if I look at what's happened to punks, fuck man, that operation has been remarkably successful.
Oh yeah,
Because
like
they have been demoralized to the point where they just fucking handed in their guns. They just said, "Okay, we give up," and they are now the establishment.
yeah, well that's the thing with punk rock. It's like if you don't die by the time you're 35, it's like you're just like you just sit there and you're out of breath and you're like, fuck, now what do I do?
Yeah,
Like I can't keep living like this. I need stability. So
yeah, and then so you've been trained to be extreme in your thinking at that point. So
yeah, and it was
you
remarkable because it made you spend your 20s and early 30s being financially irresponsible and not setting up for your future. Like one of my problems with my life is I'm 46 and I didn't like I just fucking wasted my 20s, not necessarily being super punker, but just being like I don't care about money. It's all about ideals and all this stuff and it's like I'm fine, but it's just like if you want to take the angriest, most outspoken people who are going to rise up and go against something, you give them punk culture where they just basically waste the most affected age that they can be until they're like 35 and then they're poor and they're like, all right, I need a job and all this stuff. But
yeah.
they're like, then they just become ineffectual dependents of like society.
Oh yeah, no, there's nothing sadder than all the 50 something rebels I still know. I'm 58, and my biggest problem is that it takes me about between 14 and 25 days to pass a stone.
Oh, you get stones like more than once?
I've had two now. And
Oh.
The first one was like about 8, 9 years ago, and it wasn't even a day. It was about 4 hours of me walking around in labor
Yeah.
until I felt it, and it was ping, off it went. Didn't we talk about this last time?
I don't know.
And then this time it was fucking like 2.5 weeks of labor. I
Yeah.
don't want to, you know what? I shouldn't say that because I'm a man and I have not given birth, and it's possible for me to give birth because of biology. So
Yeah.
I shouldn't, and I gather because my wife has given birth to at least two of my children. All of my children were birthed by a woman,
That
my
you
wife,
know of.
namely. No, I don't have any others, uh, but so I don't want to. What I'm saying is, I'm not a woman. I haven't been through that kind of pain. So I had terrible, terrible back pain
Really?
until, yeah. And then it was like 2.5 weeks. And I was like, I think it's a kidney stone. I tried to see my doctor about it, but what's the point? And then, out it came, I
Is it
think.
like in the movie Total Recall when he's pulling that thing out of his nose and it's like
No,
this
it's
big ball? Is it just like a big ball that works its way down your dick and it like
no,
swells it out and then it blasts it out like a trumpet?
no. It's like it's smaller than a grain of sand, in my case, anyway. So
Smaller than a grain of sand. Why does it hurt so much then?
because, well, I don't know. Why don't you pass a little thing smaller than a grain of sand? If you look at it, if you take a microscope
Yeah.
and blow it up, it looks like I remember telling you this last time. It looks like the fucking Fortress of Solitude from the 1979 version of Superman with Christopher Reeve and
Oh
Gene
yeah.
Hackman, Valerie Perrine, and Ned Beatty. This the best version, and it's just like this crystalline fucking thing that
Yeah.
erupts from the Arctic snow, and it's beautiful, but you wouldn't want to pass it through your dink hole, for fuck's
That's
sake. It
true.
hurts.
Okay.
It's
Oh, so
you,
I
you
guess it just jams in all the way down and like
Yeah, it's traveling because I like most people, their kidneys are here, but I'm unusual. Mine are like there. Mine are
is that
actually,
part of being British and eating too
yeah.
many steak and kidney pies?
Oh, fuck. I used to live with this guy in England, and he would every morning he would fry up some kidneys and put them on toast. So
Oh,
I would awaken every morning to this like the acrid tang of urine because that's what happens when you fry a kidney,
that
a
is
cow
so
kidney.
disgusting.
Yeah, he was disgusting. His name was Clive. I miss him. He was a bus driver.
Bus driver who eats kidneys every morning. I used to work at an English pub called the Sherlock Holmes in West Edmonton Mall, and
Fuck, man.
once in a while they would make steak
The
and
real
kidney
taste of Britain.
pies, and it would
What?
just fucking reek of piss. Like
Oh
just
yeah.
it's like somebody threw piss in a frying pan.
Yeah, I know.
It's the grossest thing ever. But I was introduced to Scotch eggs, and that was worth the whole
They're
ordeal.
great. Yeah, Scotch eggs are wonderful. I mean, British cuisine isn't as bad as they say. It is, but it's
Some of
also
it, dude, toasties, fucking
I
the
don't know what
Brits
that is.
get like I went to England. God, that must have been like 8 years ago, 7 years ago, and I'd never had a toasty before that. So it's basically like a grilled cheese sandwich with cheese in the middle and then whatever, and then on the outside is more cheese. Tim Hortons used to have it for a while. So it's like you put parchment paper and then you put cheese on the outside and then you grill it. And me being a fat guy, you give me more cheese with my grilled cheese, that's a fucking win. I'm down.
I grew up on chips and curry.
Yeah.
It meant a lot to me. I mean, every day on the way home from school, I get a
That's
bag of,
another thing. You guys got curry from when you were little. Like I didn't get butter chicken until I was in my 20s.
yeah. Yeah, we did. We had Indian food. Good biryani with like a Carling Black Label
Yeah.
lager was the best thing in the world. Jesus. We used to have and the Chinese food over there was really different but great.
Hmm.
Anyway, we've gone off topic. We were talking about Tom DeLonge.
Yeah.
No, let's move on. What was the next thing on your
We
list?
just might have to rename this podcast off topic.
Yeah,
You
sorry.
wanted to tell me about interviewing Bart Simpson.
Well,
Just
I was going to bring that up because
the
I
Sabrina
noticed,
Carpenter?
yeah, Sabrina Carpenter, who's on tour, I guess, and had announced, in grandiose fashion that she was going to share the profits from her tour with a bunch of organizations that would make her look like a real stand-up lady. And one of those organizations was the Best Friends Animal Society.
And what's
Now I'm gonna,
that?
well, I'll tell you, but it's gonna get your,
If I let you?
if you let me. But you should know that it'll get your podcast even more shadow banned than it
Oh
already
no.
is. Yeah.
I don't think we have to worry about being shadow banned.
And it'll also perhaps put me in some jeopardy.
Really?
Maybe.
You don't have to
I mean,
talk about it if it's gonna
be
get you
more
in
serious. Well,
jeopardy.
but like I said to you before, there's a part of me that's like the only way to deal with this shit is to be transparent about it.
Oh
And
yeah,
if
talk
no,
about it.
yeah,
And like me being a welder and like I said before, not setting up my fucking life properly in my 20s and 30s. So basically, I could say whatever the fuck I want. It won't really affect my job because thank God we're out of the cancel working class people age of the censorship that kind of was super hot in 2018-ish. So,
yeah.
I don't think anybody's gonna
I think it's gonna have a, it's gonna, because we were kind of talking about this week, but I think you're right. I think we're sort of we're over the horizon on this nonsense, but I
Mhm.
think it will have a little bit of a comeback. These things don't die easily, you know.
No.
I think there'll be a backlash to the backlash. But the thing about this Best Friends Animal Society is it's actually the rebranding of a thing called the Process Church of the Final Judgment. Now, before
What?
your seven or before our vast audience of listeners uh, scoffs and tuts and rolls their eyes and turns off the podcast, look into it. The Process Church of the Final Judgment was
Wait, I'm
real
gonna take a
is
note. I want to look into that later. Process Church of the Final Judgment?
hmm, which was an offshoot of Scientology in the 60s and a much more severe and much more openly occulted um, uh, cult, very rigorous in what it believed and what it demanded of its members, and it turns out now, decades later, was extraordinarily influential in the culture, even
Oh,
though
really?
you've never heard of it.
That's
But
like what we were talking about with all these like Dave Grohl and stuff. Was Dave Grohl set up by the Process Church of the
well,
Final
I'll tell you
Judgment?
something, dude. There is a really fantastic researcher called called Dana Duda, and she,
Sweet name.
but she's the real deal, and she has a podcast that you can find on Spotify called Rotting Jewels, and
It's a
she
good
has
name.
done this like extremely, uh, very rigorous and very detailed and long. I mean, it's a voluminous examination of the process church and how the official version is the process was disavowed by the Church of Scientology because they said they stole their tech and that they wanted nothing to do with them. I think Dana Duda and others believe or strongly suspect that actually that's not true and that the process was doing like the dirtiest work of the church. Um, so they're implicated in all sorts of things, principally the Manson killings and the Son of Sam. Those are the kind of
Damn.
the two big ones. And anyway, they still exist, and now they're called the Best Friends Animal Society, which seems like that sounds lovely.
Yeah, that does sound nice. It sounds like the SPCA where they help little animals and not fucking do Manson murders.
When the remake of Clifford the Big Red Dog was released a few years ago, the opening in New York was sponsored by the Best Friends Animal Society, which, by the way, happens to own hundreds, if not thousands, of acres of land in Utah and is very,
Ah.
very wealthy. And as demonstrated by this Sabrina Carpenter thing, seems. Oh, so I was going to finish. They sponsored the opening of the film in New York, the Best Friends Animal Society, and managed to get the Empire State Building illuminated in red. So it's not like they're not some little organization.
Yeah.
So Sabrina Carpenter, they're big enough that Sabrina Carpenter is donating a bunch of money to them. Well, it turns out, and I didn't know this until last week, but Sabrina Carpenter is the niece of Nancy Cartwright.
Hmm.
Nancy Cartwright is the voice of Bart Simpson. And Nancy Cartwright is one of the most prominent Hollywood Scientologists that we can think of. I mean, along with
Yeah.
she's up with Tom Cruise and whomever else. She's a very, very visible member of the church.
Do you think she's clear?
Oh, well, I don't know. I don't know.
Mm.
Probably. I mean, I think they're. I don't know. I don't know. I do know this. I did, and I told you this. I interviewed Nancy Cartwright a few years ago
Yeah.
because she made a movie, and it was 100% a vanity project that she wrote and directed, and she didn't star in it, but she has a really interesting cameo in it actually. And like first of all, the first 15 years, especially the first 10 years of The Simpsons, means a lot. I love that stuff. It's great.
Hmm.
It's one of the greatest things ever, and I'm a big, big fan. So it meant a lot, even though by the time I talked to her, I wasn't watching it anymore, and it was starting to really suck. But like, fuck, getting on the phone with the voice of Bart was amazing, and I was happy to do it. And she was really nice. We had a really nice conversation, and I was, because we're mostly talking about her film, this not good film.
What was it called?
I'd have to look it up.
I'll Google it quick.
Yeah. It was a very elaborate, well-funded, very well-funded, like
Yeah.
uh 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 luxurious tribute to Fellini.
Okay.
But it's the kind of film that you would watch and go, yeah, made by a Scientologist. Um, Very, very impressive visually, but something really off with it too.
She's the
And
director.
she didn't direct it. She wrote and produced it.
Oh, she wrote two things. In Search of Fellini. Is that
Oh,
the
that
movie?
that was not the.
Because she wrote that in 2017.
Yeah, that sounds about right. What else did she just look at her acting credits? Um, so maybe she didn't write it, but
She was
she
an
she it was
actress in 176 things.
what did she do in 2017? This was her passion project. Whatever
Yeah.
role she took, she was getting on the phone with people. Nancy Cartwright does not need to get on the fucking phone with people, but she
Yeah,
got on
that's
the phone with
true.
some like loser in Vancouver to talk about this thing she had done, which it was playing at the Van City Theater. And I'll tell you something. The programmer at the Van City Theater at the time kind of he didn't beg, but he needed the story, and he sort of implied that he had no choice for whatever reason in programming this thing as part of their Italian film festival. It was in there. I don't think he cared for it particularly, and he needed some help to get the word out. So I did the interview. Why wouldn't I?
Hmm.
As a short aside, Nancy Cartwright, who played is still playing Bart Simpson after how many years? It started in 1989.
37.
Started in 89. Okay, so yeah, well,
Yeah.
33, 34, is that right? Anyway,
No, it's
um
2025 right now. Oh, 36. 36 years ish.
yeah, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh you can see her in the Twilight Zone movie.
Oh,
You ever
really?
seen yeah, the one where where the John Landis episode where people died. Vic Morrow and two children died on
Yeah.
set. They were a helicopter crashed into them
Yeah.
because of uh, John Landis's megalomania, really.
Yeah, because he wanted the helicopter to get closer to them for the shot, right? And then it
And
just
they were
fucking
working after hours. The children shouldn't have even been there. It's an awful, awful story,
yeah.
and the film is cursed. But she's so there's 4 episodes in the film, and she's in one that was directed by Joe Dante, and it's one of the two good ones. George Miller did one which was really good,
Yeah.
and Joe Dante did his, which was a remake of a Twilight Zone story about this little boy who is sort of psychic or whatever, but he can sort of conjure the world around him, and he traps these people inside his world, and they pretend to be his family because they're all so terrified of him and they don't
Oh
want
yeah,
to
I
punish him.
remember that.
Yeah. Well, she plays his sister, and
Hmm.
she spends this character is sort of obsessed with cartoons, and when she finally crosses him and he fucks her world up, he sends her to the world of cartoons. And the
Yeah.
last thing you see of Nancy Cartwright in this film, which may have been like her last actual like live action role, is like she's screaming and running through this environment of cartoons, right?
Yeah.
And then after that, her entire career is in a cartoon.
It's ironic.
That's an aside.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Nancy Cartwright, Scientologist, is the aunt of Sabrina Carpenter,
Hmm.
who is a big donor to the Best Friends Animal Society, which is the Process Church of the Final Judgment. And fuck, man, look into that. Look into that madness.
I'm going to because this is the first I've heard about it, and you've made it sound very tempting and scintillating
I
to know
recommend
about
you
it.
listen to look up Dana Duda, who's on Twitter, and
Yeah.
she's got her Spotify channel. It's a slog because there's so much there, but boy oh boy does she make a case. And
Nice.
and it all started for her with like the decades long implication of the Process Church and the Manson story, to the extent that when Ed Sanders wrote his book, The Family, in the 70s, he was sued by the Process Church to remove a chapter
Yeah.
that implicated them,
Oh,
and they were
really?
successful in the United States. He had to take it out. But in the UK, they were not. So that version, that it still exists, but it can't be published over here, but you can find it. So
Ooh,
Charlie was involved with the process, and the
big
process
nerds.
and Dana Duda is like working towards her theory, ultimately, as they all do, ends with intelligence agencies.
Yeah, like so is the Process Church just like basically the CIA?
If not the CIA, something like that. I mean, I for a long time really didn't uh, didn't dig the whole theory Hubbard that Scientology was an operation. I really believed that it was just sort of this freak independent thing. Like
Hmm.
it just created itself. I don't
Well,
think that
Hubbard was like back to Aleister Crowley, like we talked about at the very beginning. Him and Jim Parsons, they
Jack
were
Pa-
like friends with Hubbard or Crowley, weren't they? And then like they tried to do
Jack Parsons was the
one
head
of
of
his
the
rituals.
OTO in
Yeah.
Pasadena. And yeah, him and Hubbard, before Hubbard was the became, before he invented Dianetics, which became the Church of Scientology, he was a sci-fi author who was into the occult, who ended up befriending Jack Parsons and falling in with his sort of gang of bohemians in Pasadena. Jack Parsons, the famous rocket scientist, and they did their Babylon working in
Hmm.
1946 or 47, which was meant to manifest the moon child or the Antichrist on Earth.
Yeah.
And
And
yeah,
some people say that when they did that in the desert, that they accidentally ripped a hole like a portal for demons, and that's what aliens are. So that loops
that's
us
another part of it.
all the
Yeah,
way back to aliens or demons.
yeah, yeah. And
So
in
yeah.
the end, I think Crowley rejected Parsons in the end and made statements that what he thought they were doing out in the desert was foolish.
Yeah,
But
because Crowley thought that they weren't taking it seriously enough and that they could
something
actually
like
end
that.
up fucking opening a portal to hell.
So
And
then, so then what happens next is that well, Jack Parsons meets his actual whore of Babylon, a very interesting character by the name of Marjorie Cameron,
hmm.
like a genuine, actually a witch, actually a very powerful witch. Look her up. You can see her. She made films with Kenneth Anger. She made films. She made films. Her artwork is amazing. You should like look up her her sketches of Jack Parsons. Jesus.
Yeah.
But and Hubbard steals Parsons' girlfriend and a bunch of money, and then goes off and boats around the world or whatever, and then invents Scientology. But and then not long after that, I think in 55, 56, Parsons blows himself up in a lab accident.
Oops. You
But he
know,
is, he's considered the one of the founding fathers of American rocket science.
that's the only time I like to say that I can be as smart as a rocket scientist when Graham Parsons blew himself up.
Jack Parsons.
Jack Parsons.
Graham Parsons died in a hotel room in Joshua Tree Inn with
Yeah.
a bunch of ice cubes up his ass.
A lot different of a career for those two guys. Two opposite ends of the Parsons spectrum.
Yeah, yeah. Jack Parsons invented, I think his biggest achievement was solid rocket fuel,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, because that's what they
It's a really
used
big
for
deal.
the sat. Yeah, and then like fucking Werner von Braun or whatever in NASA. He worked with NASA too, didn't he? Jack Parsons?
I don't know if he did. He definitely worked with what became the Jet Propulsion Lab,
Yeah.
which is sort of colloquially known or was for a while as the Jack Parsons Lab.
Hmm.
So he's super, super embedded in the scientific, military scientific world. He was a very important guy. He was
Yeah.
also an ardent fucking occultist, like a true black magician who engaged in sex magic a lot, right? And had this lived in this place. I can't remember, it's called the Priory or something in Pasadena, which was filled with very interesting characters, including L. Ron Hubbard.
That's
It's
nuts.
fucking wild. I mean, this is pretty well known too. There was a bad TV series made about it called Strange Angel.
Oh yeah, I heard about that. Back to me harping on pop culture and stuff. And every time somebody says sex magic, like that's what like Hubbard and Parsons and Crowley would do. They're like trying to do magic rituals through sex, basically having homo sex in the desert. It always reminds me of that Red Hot Chili Peppers
Yeah,
shit from like the 90s. Blood, sugar, sex, magic.
yeah, yeah.
She has it. Is that the lyrics?
I don't know.
Anyways, yeah, it's like Red Hot Chili Peppers, not their first album, but their first like the one that made them super famous, the one with the like,
That was the one where they signed the deal with the devil. Yeah,
yeah, and then like yeah, like it was all like, and everybody was like, oh look at these silly guys, they're doing like little
yeah.
demon stuff, but it was like in the 90s back when it was just like cartoon and plastic pitchforks and stuff, so you're like, oh whatever.
But it was only a few years later that it was the West Memphis Three and Lost Paradise and
Hmm.
uh, this odd effort in popular culture to sanitize Satanism.
Yeah, it was like I think Sam Tripoli was talking about this, but his belief was that satanic panic was real, but then they kind of flooded the zone with all these fake stuff with satanic panic so that they could
He's
just
exactly right.
dismiss the whole thing.
That's exactly what it was. And in fact, I wrote oh boy, it's a painful episode in my personal history.
Why?
I wrote a chapter for a book that was
Ooh.
published about what year is it? 2025? About 11 years ago.
Ladies, Adrian writes books.
No, I don't. But I wrote a chapter for a book,
Yeah.
which was called Satanic Panic. It was a good book. Published, it's a very small publisher. It's my friend's publishing
Hmm.
company. And she actually came to me and asked if I would do this because this was a book that was supposed to be about the response in popular culture to the satanic panic. It was supposed to be from the popular culture point of view.
Yeah.
And because even back then I was like, well, I think there's predictably the essays in this book sort of dismissed the satanic panic as a moral panic that was driven
Hmm.
by the Christian right and bad therapists and the media and whatever, and that there was no substance there. And I don't believe that. And so I said, well, I could look at the film that was made because if it's supposed to be through the lens of media, then I could look at the film that was made in the 90s about the McMartin preschool.
Hmm.
And that was a film called Indictment, starring James Woods. Um, so I grabbed the film and I did a critique of it and tried in this essay, and I don't think I was successful. Not totally. It wasn't, it was okay, but it could have been better. Um, but I was trying to demonstrate that very thing. Like this movie was a part of an ongoing attempt to sort of suppress the truth about what really happened in this sort of satanic panic
Hmm.
and uh, run defense, run cover for people that were actually involved in abuse, child abuse, uh,
Yeah.
um, and on a nationwide scale, uh, and with the complicity and protection of the authorities.
Yeah,
And of
imagine
course,
if the fucking Jeffrey Epstein shit would have happened before Satanic Panic. Everybody would have took it a lot more seriously than they did. And it's like even looking back, you see like you hear about all these stories. I don't know the specifics of it about how like the CIA won't bust up child trafficking rings because then that'll get rid of all basically all their informants on the inside in the industry. So you have all this stuff. So it's like another aspect of it was they were like using Satanic Panic as like a recruiting episode and all this stuff. And that's,
all those things,
yeah.
all those things. No, I mean it's an extraordinarily complex issue that no
Hmm.
matter where you land in terms of what you believe, it's insulting to just dismiss it as a moral panic that involved some heavy metal records, some
Yeah.
TV evangelists, and some bad therapists. Like, no, children were fucking harmed, a lot of them, a
Yeah.
lot. And and then the abusers were protected.
Yeah.
So it really demands serious attention,
Hmm.
but it's one of those things that's sort of brushed off. It's like, and that's such a convenient way of doing it. Like you can just, the phrase itself, satanic panic, is meant to immediately shut down any
Yeah.
further consideration, right? It's been conveniently memory hold,
Yeah. I
not memory hold. It's been conveniently discredited
yeah. Well, I
forever.
got to go because I've got to go on toddler duty. But
Okay.
like, I wanted to talk about quickly. I just want to say, like, ask you personally, because personally, like, Halloween, I just don't have the Halloween spirit anymore. And I don't know if it's just because, like, well, we are talking about basically like the occult and all this shit. It's like, I don't know if I'm just too aware of like actual evil out in the world that I can't just be like, haha, cartoonized dead bodies and shit. But it's like, I don't know. It's just like, when like there's a couple of years where you don't have the Christmas spirit and you're like, bah humbug. That's how I feel about Halloween right now. It's like, everyone's like, what are you doing for Halloween? It's like, I don't know. But it's like I have a child and she's 2.5, so she's not quite like we're gonna take her a little bit trick or treating, but she's not like excited to go do it because she doesn't understand it, but it's just like, am I just turning into an old curmudgeon or
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think it's perfectly reasonable and maybe even expected that you would develop a more critical eye on the
yeah.
world. Gee, there's nothing wrong with that. I get it. I mean, I'm sort of uncomfortable with it too, and at the same time, there's speaking of sanitizing things, I'm glad that this sort of whatever this dark ritual that's that's
Samhain?
thousands of years old,
Yeah,
has been sanitized into a bunch of kids getting some candy, or as
that's
old people
true.
like to call it, Apple Razor Day. That's the weekend update joke I stole. I didn't.
Nice.
But yeah, I know what. But I get it. I do get it.
Yeah.
It would be great if we actually educated people about this stuff. I mean,
I don't know though, like when you hear about like what bobbing for apples came from, like
I don't know
making
what that came from. Where did
oh,
that
it's
come
like
from?
I don't know if it's real, but I heard like torture, like it used to be like a torture where you'd go to like people you're torturing and they make them like stick their head in like their bob for apples in like boiling water basically, and it would like horrifically scar you and stuff. And like I don't know if this is real or if that's just like one of those things where it's like they used to do this and it's like because it's like basically whatever you can think of to
It's
be
been
mean to someone else and evil people have done in the past because people didn't have as much humanity as we have now, which is crazy because you
I
look
don't think
around
that's
and there isn't
true.
that much.
I think they did. I think it's probably the levels of evil have maintained over the centuries. It's
Well, that's a
about the
good
same.
point.
I think it's about the same amount.
Yeah, maybe we just don't know about like because basically, or not basically, I guess people like not everybody would have known about evil around in the world, and it would be like easier to hide it and stuff. So it's not like everybody was like making people stick their faces in boiling apples or like
No, and you say this, saying like people were much crueler back then. You say this in a time when there's multiple genocides happening under
that's
your
true.
nose. Like we're fucking the world is extremely barbaric right now.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess it seems less. barbaric because it's like a push of a button instead of going door to door and dragging people out into the street with machetes now. So
Well, no, but now this is for another podcast, but we've medicalized
that's
torture
true.
and death. We've
Yeah,
medicalized it. We've made it turned it into a bureaucracy.
that's true. Oh,
It's much worse.
that is a terrible way, but very correct way to put it. All right. Anything
Thanks.
else you
Been a
want to
pleasure
say?
as always.
Yeah, I love it. You teach me so much.
Oh,
I'm definitely going to look into this Process Church of the Final Judgment and
oh, you should.
Rotten Jewels chick on because all I do, the only way I learn things is on podcasts because I listen to them at work.
Yeah.
And I've been getting kind of bored of them because I've been listening to too much politics and now I'm just like, I'm just bored of politics. I want to get into spooky ooky stuff, even though
Oh, well,
none of the hell of
yeah,
them.
I very much recommend Dana Duda Rotting Jewels,
Okay.
but it's big.
Yeah.
She's done a lot of stuff, a lot of work. And it's heroic what she's done.
Yeah. Because I started listening to that fucking guy's um podcast on what's his name? Here, I'm going to tell you. The Martyr Maid guy. What's his name? Do you know who I'm talking about? Martyr Maid?
No, not at all.
God, what's his name? Say his name. Fucking Daryl something.
I don't know.
Daryl Cooper. He's a historian. He just
Oh,
got in a whole bunch of shit because he said that the myth of World War II is wrong and that some of the Brit guy was kind of bad because he unnecessarily prolonged the war and shit and he got like so much lashback.
right, right, right.
Anyway, so he's gonna do this big podcast series about the World War II, and then he started with World War One, and it's just like Dan Carlin's hardcore history episode where it just tells you how fucking brutal the trenches were
Yeah.
and like trench warfare and shit, and it's so bad. You're just like, and it's like it's
Well,
hard to get through.
that sounds interesting, but I think I'll wait. I'll hang on for the official Ken Burns version of on PBS
With the good emotive music.
With Peter Coyote narrating. Okay, I gotta go too.
Okay. Thanks for coming. Until next time, stay angry.